My name is Dr. Elizabeth Lawler, and before becoming the CEO of a small software company, I used to be an epidemiologist, and I'm going to talk with you about how open source can teach scientists how to share. So, like I mentioned, before joining software, I spent 14 years in academic medical research, and I studied everything from drug safety issues to living to be 100 years old. And while I was a really good scientist, I was really bad at sharing, especially things like unpublished science data and research ideas. And so I suffered from a condition called mine-itis. And if you have a toddler, you know what this is. I was really bad at sharing, and a lot of scientists suffer from it. In fact, a recent study published said that more scientists want more access to shared data resources, but only 6% of scientists are willing to share data resources themselves. And so when you talk with scientists about why they have mine-itis, they usually give you one of three reasons, and the first reason is publications. So they're worried about sharing data because there goes the slide. Because they're worried about their CVs, right? They're worried about publishing or perishing, and if they share data, they're worried they're going to get scooped on a publication. So the second reason that they don't share research ideas or data is that they're worried about grant funding. So grant funding is really tight, and any edge that a scientist can get, such as hoarding data, seems appealing when it might be the life preserver that keeps your research afloat. And the third reason that scientists don't share well is they don't want to share their Nobel Prize. And so there are a lot of scientists working in a lot of closed research environments, but there's an increasing clamor among scientists to work in open research environments and open and collaborative processes. And having joined the software community recently, it's been incredibly impressive to me how software people and open source people are really capable of sharing. And so on the 30th anniversary of Richard Stallman's post, I wondered how could the open source software community teach scientists how to share better? And so there are a lot of science initiatives cropping up all over, and such as the Polymath Project, the HapMath Project, but there are also a lot of other scientists who are stuck in situations where they have great ideas, and they want to share resources, they want to collaborate, but the system isn't supporting them. And so I wondered, how could the open source science community get scientists to get over the trust hump and start to learn to share better? And so it's what seems kind of obvious to me, but might not be obvious to you, is that you actually have a lot of tools to support trust in one another and in each other and in the process. And so I want to talk a little bit about what these tools are and how you could potentially think about reimagining them for the purposes of science. So let's first talk a little bit about what trust is. So some philosophers have described trust as being able to be willing to assess the honesty, competency, and reliability of another person to determine whether you can place their trust in them. And so what you guys have got and that science needs are tools to be able to evaluate the honesty, competency, and reliability. And so some of the tools you use for honesty are things like open source licenses and software foundations to support them. And science is trying to rethink and reimagine all of these things for their own IP purposes, but they need experienced people like you to help them. And to establish peer competency, you have things like websites like Stack Overflow, where you can actually go in and determine the technical competency of someone and also their competency in collaboration. And science doesn't have this. They only have journal articles, right? And journal articles, although they might tell you who's participated, they don't tell you what they've contributed, and they don't tell you if they're a good contributor. And the third thing, so you've got honesty, competency, and now reliability. So in terms of reliability, I think GitHub is an excellent example of being able to demonstrate reliability. And it's reliability in keeping the open process open so you can find the code, but also being able to attribute reliably people's contributions. So right now there's a lot of clamor for open source data initiatives in science, but forced data sharing is not going to work. And scientists will do the minimum possible to comply with the regulations, but not the spirit of the law. So this is a real opportunity for people in this room who have got knowledge about how to create these kinds of trust systems, to go out and create them for every single scientist out there who's in need. So if you're entrepreneurially minded, this is a good opportunity for you. So think about your tools and what you can share with a scientist, and whether it be a story or some code, and teach a scientist how to share. Thank you.